Well, Jim, let's stay on the topic of AEW. Several people have been sending in questions about this. Reports that AEW Dark, as well as AEW Elevation, have both either concluded or are about to conclude with the purported new Saturday show on the horizon.
Season finales, man. Well, obviously, you can't just. And from when we've read the results of especially I can't remember which is Dark and which is Elevation or whatever but especially the YouTube programming in general, they're not doing separate television programs. They're giving guys reps and girls reps. And unfortunately, they're giving them reps with each other. So it's not like they're out in front of people on a regular basis working with those more experienced in any kind of competitive matches. It's like squashes, get people over, use the people that we've got under contract and we're paying for some God unknown reason for years, but we can't put them on television because we've passed that point and they're not ready for it and probably never will be, that type of talent. So they've just been doing filler, and it still costs money and it's expensive and it wears people out. It wears their crowds out, whatever. If they're going to be adding another 2-hour program, as we are led to believe it is on Saturday nights, in addition to 2 hours on Wednesday and an hour that apparently now floats around on the weekends, because was it a self-fulfilling prophecy? Did the chicken lay the egg or the egg hatch the chicken? Whatever. Did people just completely quit watching Rampage because it turned into a show that just stunk and nobody gave a shit, or vice versa? They can't be just doing that much more programming of meaningless matches. And I would hope that they would pare their roster down of some of the people that we have not seen on a meaningful. I heard Sonny Kiss is still wrestling on YouTube. We haven't seen Sonny Kiss on TV in 2 years, and I'm crossing my fingers to keep that string alive. But they need to pare out people that they've obviously already deemed not capable of being on television or not necessary on television, and concentrate on establishing more regularity, whether it be on Wednesday or on Saturday or on Friday or whatever the fuck, of the talent they do have that can be helpful for the future and get people more familiar with them, instead of seeing somebody that has a half an opportunity to be something and you don't see them again for 6 or 8 weeks or whatever. I think that might be something they need to already look at if they're not doing already.
I see some reporting here. Andrew Zarian reporting AEW Dark and Dark Elevation have ended for the time being. This, in part, has to do with AEW signing a new deal for AEW Collision to air on Saturdays. Part of the new deal is that AEW wrestling content will exclusively air on Warner Brothers Discovery. As of today, that doesn't include ROH. So the exclusivity, I assume, covers YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube shows.
Well, yeah, but again, it's not like these were fully formed television shows with interviews and angles and ready to go out. It's just meaningless matches with their underneath talent that Tony amassed and has never had the balls to give notice to, cut contracts, cut costs, whatever, for people that he's been paying for years. And again, I've seen a lot of people, and I'm not trying to pick him apart here, but my God, as Kerry Silkin said to me one time when I first went to Ring of Honor, what am I running? Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
You've got to have.
The answer was yes.
Well, yeah, at that point he was. You've got to have some kind of fiscal responsibility. And if you've got a new television program, you can literally cut 10 names that you're paying $100,000 a year to. And folks, from what I've heard, some people were making at the start and getting contracts. That could be the janitor. You cut 10 guys making $100,000 a year that are never on television and working on YouTube or just pissing around the back. And there's $1 million you can offer to 2 main event talents next time a couple come available to populate this extra 2 hours of television real estate on national cable. Or you determine, because remember we went through the roster, there was 30, 40 names that we could come up with. You determine that if 20 of those people never appeared on AEW again in any form, the fans wouldn't set the seats on fire. They probably wouldn't even notice. And you take that $2 million a year and you put that toward any number of fresh new talents that you feel at least they may not be any better than the other ones, but at least they're different. And see what they can do. And then you're not even, or you could just save some fucking money. But let's go with the idea that Tony doesn't care about saving money because he's got plenty of it. And yes, they're grossing a fucking fortune, but add up 150 fucking wrestling talents, and we know the top end of that's in the 7 figures, and just give the bottom fucking $100,000 a year and see what their talent budget is. So revenue is not profit. But I'm just saying, if they've got 2 more hours on television, they need names instead of numbers. Instead of a lot of fucking guys and girls, they need important guys and girls. I'll end that there.
With the caveat that you and I don't watch Dark Elevation or Dark without elevation, ground level Dark. AEW has a lot of people. Stop. AEW has a lot of people there. As you said, it's a big roster. We only see, 80 or 90 people every Wednesday night on Dynamite. Yeah. What do you do? I mean, if you have all these people, there are people they use that have been there for a few years. They were young. They're still young, but at what point do you try to break someone out? At what point do you try to just mix it up somehow? And on the other side, what does it say that no one's breaking out on any of these shows and literally being elevated?
Well, no, they plenty of them broke out, but they got captured and sent back. Think about it. Over the period of time, remember when the Jamie Hayter could have fucking turned around and dropped a heel Britt Baker on her head and the people would have stood up and thrown babies in the air? Remember when Wardlow was over? Remember at one point when Starks was hot, right in there in the middle of somewhere? It may be before they threw him on his head and broke his neck. I don't know. There have been numerous instances. FTR. They were standing and stomping and oh my God. And
they were chanting their names when they weren't even out there.
Yes. And so plenty have broken out, but nobody capitalized on it because it wasn't Tony's plan. And in some cases, the EVPs were against it. And so therefore they didn't do anything to encourage it to be cultivated. And in other cases, they're too stupid to see it or it just... One of, I think, the side effects of having a mind like Tony's is that you in your mind think that this is all intricately arranged and plotted out so that if everybody just remembers every minute granular detail, they will realize that this makes so much sense. You see where I'm going with this? That's in his mind. That he wasn't going to deviate to do what the fans were screaming for because what he had in mind was so much better. And then the opportunity passes and these people that broke out are captured and returned to confinement.
All right. Well, let's return to the confinement of some of these questions here, Jim.
And sometimes they add time to their sentence for the breakout.